Hey everybody, Bob Cruz here, CEO of Checkpoint Technologies. Welcome to another episode of Software Quality and Beer. I'm joined by my teammate and partner in crime, Matt Kubal.
Hello.
Matt. And our guest today is John Malik. So John and I have been lucky enough to know John for, 22, almost 23 years,
yeah.
I think. So John is a quality expert and executive. He's got over 35 years experience in the field. He's worked for organizations such as IBM, Compaq, Ideal Software, as well as ConnectWise. One of the things I loved is you're very much into modernization, and you realize, John, how quality is key to the growth and success of any organization. And it's really key, you feel, that organizations innovate for quality assurance and software testing.
Absolutely.
So again, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're actually fortunate enough to have John on 2 episodes. First one, we're going to talk about AI and just the future of AI, where we see it going, specifically in regard to software testing and quality assurance. And I definitely want to hear John's thoughts on that. So John, where do you see, is AI something people should be concerned about in the field of software testing and quality assurance?
I don't think we need to be concerned about it. I think we need to grasp it. It's just another evolution.
Okay.
I think it's going to make applications better, more quality. It's not going to replace people. We still need to go through and audit test cases and automate test cases. AI is just going to help us find those edge cases, negative cases, whatever things we could miss if we're not application experts. I remember back in the day, we always asked, are you an expert at the application you're testing? You had to say yes, because we had to know all the places to go to in order to test. Okay, there's these changes. We got to test them here, 10 different places maybe. AI is going to get us out of that kind of that fog, and it's going to tell us all these different places without being an application expert per se.
Okay. That's a great point, because it used to be, there used to be a time you just had to know what a push button would do, what a drop-down list would do, so that you could very quickly learn any type of application. But now you're right, because I think AI is going to take us down paths into areas that we haven't been used to going. So it'll be more encompassing. So Matt, what are your thoughts on AI?
Oh gosh. So, I agree. It's kind of just a new tool in our belt.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of changes. People will probably lose their jobs over, but I think that's just things trying to stabilize.
Yeah.
And when computers first came around, you're writing things in like byte code, right? Like you're writing zeros and ones. And
right.
Then you got to the point where you had access to like machine code.
Yep.
Right. And then that got further abstracted into different languages like C and C++, or people writing Python now.
I had to learn assembly in college back in early 1980s.
And you've got new IDEs that have come along that will autocomplete stuff for you, and like we've just added another tool to the toolbox.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be some shifts in the short term, but I think in the long term it will become like you still have to know what you're doing.
Right.
The AI gets you a lot of the way there, and it saves a lot of the time that you're spending with fingers on keyboard. But it's just another way to make us more efficient.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I want to emphasize to those of you watching or listening, because this is what I tend to do when I'm listening to podcasts or reading about AI, and they just use that term. Obviously, we're more focused right now on Gen AI, not strong AI. So, strong AI being able to learn, make decisions for you, etc. And one of these days we're going to devote probably 2 or 3 episodes to just strong AI. But right now, as far as Gen AI, one of the things, John, in a lot of the conversations we've had is you talk about bureaucracy, and right?
Yes.
And so what are your thoughts on bureaucracy and AI?
Sure. There's always going to be that bureaucracy. There's going to be those certain leaders that want to take control, and what we've all been through this. I find a bug. Okay, bug gets logged. It's a low-level bug. Somebody up top says, we're not going to fix that bug. So it goes in the backlog.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. 6 months later, big customer finds the bug, gets upset. Another big leader comes down and says, why didn't you fix this? Or why didn't you find it? Well, we found it. We've all been through that. He's laughing because he's been
Sure.
through it.
Yeah.
What AI is going to do, it's going to find more of those. It's going to find more defects. And what do you do with those defects? Is the same leader's going to say we're not going to fix 10 of them instead of one of them? Or are we going to fix them all? Or what's going to happen with that?
Right.
I think that's the bureaucracy that's going to be a fight,
Yeah.
a battle, or whatever you want to call it. Because as us, we want things perfect quality as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we want them fixed. So I think it's going to be exponential that AI is going to find all these different edge cases that we could never find as human beings because we just can't do that in the frame of time that we could release the product.
Yeah.
So the bureaucracy is still going to be there. There's still going to be somebody at this high level saying we're not going to fix it, we don't have time, or whatever the case may be. But I think that it's going to uncover. But we'll talk about this at another time. But when we shift left, we might find those things earlier.
Yeah.
And we're able to circumvent all these things before they get out to that point of testing the product, over regression testing or whatnot.
Well, it reminds me of what you just said specifically about how you're going to start seeing an organization will start seeing more defects. Reminds me of what you both just said a moment ago about how Gen AI is really just another tool, another evolution. It reminds me very much of when test automation started becoming popular. So I do feel like I was involved in test automation very, very early on. I remember I was introduced to it back in the mid 1990s, probably around 1997 perhaps. I was on a project with the FBI, and I loved it because it combined both the world of being a detective, trying to find problems, and then coding also, which I love. So, but one of the things I've always explained to organizations with automation was expect an increase in defects. Not because it's going to cause it, but because it's going to find it. Because now, instead of testing with 20 different scenarios, you're going to be testing with hundreds of different scenarios, the same functionality. So same idea. And finding defects, right, I would think we all agree, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it gets you that much closer.
Depends on where you work. Sometimes it's not welcome.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. That reminds me of one place. This is a tangent. I worked one place, John. Tell me what you think of this. They offered the developers bonuses based on lack of defects. They offered the testers bonuses based on the defects they found. So whenever there was a defect, man, they were always arguing.
That's going to be a
always
battle that's
clashing
not
heads.
going to be good.
No. So finally, we would just blame the business analyst who wrote the requirements. but back to AI. So the bureaucracy. What can you do to overcome that? What's been your experience in trying to curtail that?
Well, my experience in the past is you got to work as a team. Like, we're finding all these defects. Get the product people on board. Get the dev leads on board of, okay, we can't have all these defects. We want to fix them. We want to make it as best as possible. To have that battle, like you said, like this, that's
Right.
never going to work because
Yep.
it's always going to be the we they thing. Keep going, and nothing's going to get done right.
Right.
And then all of a
Right.
sudden you have the higher ups, I call them, coming down on you saying, well, what's all these defects?
Right.
And we all know, not blaming developers or products, saying, why didn't QA find this defect?
Right.
And that's not really the case. But from my experiences, if you work as a team, okay, we're starting to find all these defects. Let's stop the train here for a second. Let's see, why are we finding all these?
Right.
Or if we find onesie twosies, okay, well, maybe that's par for the course.
Right.
That kind of thing. I think work as a team, a true Scrum team.
Yeah.
That helps things a lot. Where AI is going to be a problem with that is it's going to find so many more, as I was saying, you were saying as well. And some things might get overwhelmed at first
Okay.
until we get to the next gen of whatever we have with this thing. And
Right.
you know, I just think that right now, if we just work as a team and know what's going on, it's going to help solve the problem much quicker than it would be just okay, I write this thing, I got this AI thing, I find all these defects. Okay, you fix it. See you, I'm going home for the weekend.
So in the end, all of this leads to better quality.
Correct.
But why? So why do you think AI is helping organizations find more defects? Why do you think that is? You talk about edge testing. So I have a theory, but what are your thoughts?
Well, what AI is going to do is it's going to be that, I call that expert. I talked about expert a few minutes ago.
Yep.
It's going to be your expert.
Yes.
It's going to know all these different places. Hey, a change was made over here. I'm going to spit out 20 different tests for all these different places that it knows.
Yep.
And I don't get the next different kinds of AI, but when AI starts learning, it starts figuring out this application better and better, then it's going to actually narrow things down to where these are the 10 things you need to look for, kind of like an acceptance test.
Yes.
You know, you have a 10 list of things you test that you know, okay, these quick things you know that customers have to do. Those are the ones you want to test every single second, you know, every single time.
Yes.
Kind of the same way. Okay, it's going to come down and narrow down to these certain scenarios that it knows. We got to test for these things.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
why
And my theory is very much in line with yours, because especially when you said the word expert, you know, because expert is applying a lot of techniques that it amazes me that software test engineers aren't familiar with them. Things like equivalency classes, partition testing, boundary testing, things like that. I'll use those terms with a lot of different testers. They have no idea what I'm talking about. AI is familiar with those, and then, like you said, it learns it even more. So it's the expert. It is applying those.
And it goes back to the days what I touched on before. I used to interview people, and I would ask them, are you experts at the application you're testing? Depending on their answer, whether they made it to the next level or not. If they're just there just to go through, I call it robot mode.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody like that. I want somebody who's going to learn, become that expert for me that I need. And I think eventually AI is going to circle around and be that expert. You can get somebody who's technically savvy, who's good, who may not be an expert at the application, and they're going to be able to do the job.
Yep. Yeah, great point. Well, hey, we're about out of time, but you're going to be coming back for the next episode. John is going to share with us what specifically he has done using AI to develop software testing solutions for organizations. So we are, oh, by the way, real quick, Matt, what beer are you drinking?
Oh, put me on the spot. I think it's Old Pasco.
Old Pasco.
That's what it's called, Old Pasco.
Yeah, I remember I had that before. I liked it.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking?
It's the Italian Ciao Bella?
Ciao Bella.
Thank you.
Ciao Bella. There we go.
My Italian's a little off, Bob. Sorry about that.
I'm with you, brother. I hear you. And I'm drinking a Kolsch NA this time. But we're here at Thirsty Buffalo in Odessa. And by the way, John, I'm going to catch it. There we go. We are honoring you with one of our beer testing t-shirts.
Wow.
And notice what it says on the back about how testing beer and testing software are the same.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike and Aaron at Thirsty Buffalo. John, especially thanks.
Thanks,
forward
Bob.
to the next episode.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.